I invite now our next speakers, Dermot, Coughlan and Morteza Rezaei-Zadeh from the University of Limerick. And until they take the floor, maybe you were wondering in which language all this content written. Well, actually, in any language. Multilingual aspects are at the heart of multiculturalism. We had to select among providing translations for everything, which of course was not feasible with the resources we had available, and maybe it was not also appropriate, and letting users lead their own use their own language. So we decided for the second, we opted for the second, and we use Google Translator, an automatic translation tool, which is not completely accurate, but we have verified that at least users get an idea of what is being posted. So users can post content in their own language, actually, and there you will see postings in Greek which are commented in Spanish or in Polish, so on. And still users understand each other. Dermot.
Thank you very much, Achilles. Normally I don't have any problem with being heard, so I usually have a problem being seen, however, so hopefully we'll get over that this morning. Two things that I'm going to do, which will break the mold somewhat. One is that I am going to be very brief, and I am not known for my brevity. And secondly, I'm going to break the myth that professors, when they stand up and they speak, they speak as if they've done all the work. And of course we don't. We have exceptionally talented postgraduate students who do all the work. And therefore I'm going to allow Morteza to present most of what we did. I think the other thing that's going to be, for us this morning, is that when it comes to questions, we won't have any problem with the questions, because what we're presenting is not what we did, but what you did. Because what we're presenting is your feedback. So you can't, we won't be able to get any difficult questions, thankfully. We'll get those at the next session, however, when we go into a bit of more of what we did. I mean, what we did, we were associated with Work Package 5 within the SONETOR project, and therefore we were looking at I suppose the quality. In other words, we were trying to get feedback from you about everything that the previous speakers have said. So the previous speakers have told you what SONETOR is about, what SONETOR is trying to achieve, and indeed, as the last speaker has shown, what SONETOR has actually achieved in terms of interaction. And I think it's important to note that, you know, significant part of the project really hasn't kicked in, and the real dissemination element of the project is still only being kick-started. So to have that level of involvement from you, the users, I think is an exceptionally good response. So I'm not going to say much more except to outline what we did. And we have a research methodology, so it was basically questionnaire. Participants, we'll go through where the participants came from, the platforms disseminating approaches, the participants' engagement level. And I think this is important because, as Catherine has pointed out, that people, the interaction level with the platform is not being just gone in, have a quick look and disappear. People are actually interacting with it. And we looked at the level of the thing. And then the other issue, of course, is that technology can be very off-putting, and for some. And so therefore usability and effectiveness from our perspective, it was very important to make sure that what we have done is actually usable. So as Morteza will outline, we have had 67 responses to our questionnaire. Now 67 responses is actually sounds, when you look at it, you know, we were looking at it, when we did the questionnaire, we had roughly 400 users at the time. So getting 67% or 67 responses, which is about 20%, you know, in questionnaire terms is actually quite good from a research validity point of view. So I'm not going to say very much more, and I'm just going to invite Morteza to present the findings of what you have said and how you have engaged with the project. So, Morteza.
Thank you very much, Dermot, and thank you all of you for coming here and listening to us. As Dermot mentioned and previous speakers mentioned, the platform itself is divided to different parts and components. For example, one huge component of the platform is dedicated to e-learning courses, and most of other components are dedicated to social networks, which invite co-users to have some contributions in the platform, see each other's comments, blogs, posts, etc., and be aware about the cultural mediation. So in this study, we tried to assess just social networks components of the platform. We left e-learning section to another study, and this presentation just shows you the results of validation and getting feedback from the co-users about the social networks components of the platform. As Dermot mentions, the method that we used is online survey. We created 5 questionnaires, online questionnaires in different languages, and each questionnaire consists of 65 questions. And finally, we got 67 responses from the co-users of SONETOR project from Greece, Ireland, Austria, Poland, and Spain. You can see the distribution of our participants from different countries. Most of them are from Greece and Ireland, and the remaining participants are from Spain, Poland, and Austria. Okay, here in this slide you can see the demographic information of our participants. Most of them are professionals who are dealing with migrants, and some of them are migrants. And in terms of gender and age, you can see that most of them are female and some of them are male, and in terms of age, most of them are between 30 and 40, and after that, some of them are between 40 and 50, and other age groups are minority in this study. Okay, in continue of demographic information, you can see that most of participants came from education and migrant organizations and cultural areas, and some of them, few of them, came from health and police sections. Most of the participants have a high percentage of engagement with migrants, as you can see in the graph here, and most of them are highly educated people. As you can see here, more than half of the participants have master's degree, and more than a quarter of the participants have bachelor degree, and the remaining one have a higher or lower level of educational awards. Okay, the first question was how you found us, how you found SONETOR platform. The interesting point in this diagram is more than half of the core users found SONETOR platform indirectly through a friend or through searching in search engines, and around 52-53% of the core users came to us from one of the partners of the project. In the next questions, we tried to find 2 main issues of the platform and to get feedback from the core users from 2 main perspectives. The first perspective was the usability of the platform. We wanted to know how the level of usability of the platform from a core user's point of view. And the second main issue that we tried to identify here is the effectiveness, the content of the platform. So in the next slide, you can see some information with regard to these two main perspectives. Okay. We try to find the level of engagement of our participants. You can see here that in general, the level of engagement of our participants were very high. More than a lot of participants spent more than 1 hour or more than 1 hour in the platform, and it's good. It seems that the general engagement of the core users were very high, but it was not sufficient to have a kind of judgment about the level of engagement of the participants. So in the next stage, we try to specifically find what's the level of engagement. In these three diagrams, you can see the level of engagement of our participants when we ask them to have some contribution in the platform, just not seeing others' contribution. So from the left to right, you can see that the level of engagement of participants are decreasing. When we ask them to have a minor contribution, the level of engagement is decreased, and then with them to have more contributions, again, their level of engagement is decreased. It still is acceptable. In the second section, we tried to find the usability of our platform. And as you can see here, we asked a lot of questions for assessing the usability and the effectiveness of the platform, but due to the limitation in time, we couldn't present all of them. We just selected around 10, 12 of the slides and questions to be represented here. But two of the usability questions can be seen here. The first one is about the user-friendly of the platform. To what extent it's user-friendly? And the second one is about finding and understanding the main objectives and aims of the platform. In both diagrams, you can see that the level of usability of the platform is very high. And technically, it's a very good platform in terms of the usability from the core user's perspective. And the next is questions with regard to the effectiveness validation of the content of the platform. In the left diagram, the question was, your expectation of the information required by you in your work with migrants were met by the platform. And you can see that more than 80% of the participants were agree, and some of them were very strongly agree, and that's very good result with regard to the effectiveness of the content of the platform. The second question with regard to the effectiveness of the content was you found in the information given in the platform useful and effective for people who are working and dealing with migrants. And again, a majority of the responses were positive. Okay. We have some conclusions from these slides alongside with other slides that we couldn't find time to present them here. The first conclusion is the overall satisfaction of the core users with the platform is very high. In the different sections, in the different questions, you could see that they were very happy with that, and that was the reason that they frequently came to the platform and see the different sections and have some contributions or use others' contributions, etc. The overall engagement of the core users with the platform, again, is high, but core users' engagement with some tasks which require them to spend time on them is low, especially when we ask them to have some contribution and they need to spend time to have some contribution in the platform. It seems that their level of engagement is decreased, and we need to find some solutions to resolve this issue. One clear issue is that there is a clear need of more motivations to encourage core users to make a larger contribution to the platform. And this is important, especially because core users are willing to make a contribution to the platform, but they can't follow through on this to any great extent, perhaps due to the lack of motivation. In these two diagrams here, in the left one, you can see that around 90% of the co-users are willing to have some contribution in the platform, but when they were supposed to do it, this percentage is decreased. The next conclusion is the overall satisfaction of co-users with the usability of the platform is very high, and they believe that the content of the platform could be useful for them, and it addresses the information and skills that they need to do their job properly. In terms of satisfaction of the co-users, again, you can see two diagrams here. You can see that more than 90% of the co-users are willing to recommend the platform to their friends, their communities, etc. And it's an indication that they are satisfied. Otherwise, there was no reason to recommend the platform to others. And also, most of them, more than 90% of the co-users mention here that they are willing to again come back to the platform, see others' contribution, and do also some contributions themselves. And the last conclusion is here, as Catherine mentioned here, that forums are the most used component of the social networks here in the SONETOR platform, and it's advisable to promote forums when we are looking to find more co-users or promote the platform amongst others, because it's very common amongst the current co-users, and they are willing to use forums and then blogs and then other components of the SONETOR platform. Thank you very much.
Questionnaires are all up there, so if you haven't gone in and filled out the questionnaire, please do.